Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G. And on the other line with me is the man who believes that he has caught them all. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
I don't know if I've caught them all, but I've gotten a decent number.
Where's the optimism, Doug?
Well, it's no optimism. I mean, I can look. I know I didn't get them all.
So we are back, bro. We're recording on a Thursday. It is May 12th here today that we are recording this episode, and bro, I'm ready to finish these episodes. So I'm in a really good mood. Good things are happening personally in life. Everything seems to be swinging. At least on my end. How are you doing, bro?
So whatever you do in the privacy of your own home.
Oh, come on. Stop it. How are you doing, though? For real?
Good. I'm good. I'm getting readjusted to this warm weather. Been a son of a bitch. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like it came out of nowhere. I mean, we had warning. I mean, we knew it was coming.
Bro, it was in the 30s and 40s last week, and today we hit a high of 91. Mm-hmm. Illinois weather.
And Monday you were dealing with a triple-digit heat index, and
yes, it's just.
Then
it's
next
crazy.
Week it's going to be raining again. So
yes, yeah, I heard that. One thing with Illinois, you get a whole bunch of heat, and then you get a little bit of a cool off. But this time, it's not even gonna be a cool off. It's gonna be hot rain that we're getting.
It's gonna be muggy.
Yeah, we're getting 80-degree weather rain, and I like rain, but I don't like sticky rain. Let me tell you,
it's just gonna be swamp ass.
Yeah, it's about that time of the season as well. I was telling you on a phone call earlier today that I'm going to be getting the swimming pool ready, and I'm going to drain out some of the rainwater and fill her back up, kind of scrub her down, and get some chlorine tabs and do everything that you're supposed to do with a pool and get this pool up and running for the summer. Because the way that the weather's going now, I should be able to swim in my swimming pool by next week.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. You know, like I say, it's looking like, like mid to high 70s into the 80s, and it's like the weather's going to behave itself. So you should have really good pool weather coming up.
For real, I'm telling you, I got some high expectations for my next house. My next house is going to have a pool on the inside.
Pool on the inside. I don't think I've ever.
I'm going to have an in-ground pool on the inside of my home. It's going to happen, bro. I'm telling you.
I'm going to have a pool on the inside.
I've already priced it out, and it's doable. And I'm going to be the only one in the neighborhood with a pool on the inside of my house.
Until you invite people over and they go, son of a bitch, that's a good idea.
Yeah, for real. I'm going to start a trend. I'm going to be like people out in Florida. A lot of people in Florida have a bunch of inside pools on the, well, I was about to say on the inside of the house. I talk for a living, everybody. But a lot of people in Florida have inside in-ground pools. And it's not like I've never seen them out here. Back when I used to be in my previous role at my job, the role prior to what I'm in right now, I used to there was this ritzy area that I went over to, and I kid you not. I mean, I liked the pool, but I didn't like what I saw on the inside. This one dude, he used to swim in the nude, but he had a really nice pool on the inside. He had like a sunroom around his pool, but he would always swim naked. And I would have to walk by his house, and he would always be in there. TV's on the wall, and just kicking back like it's nobody's business. I'm pretty sure he was retired. And I mean, he's even waved at me a couple times as I would go by his place, and I'm just like, yeah, hi.
Yeah.
You're lucky I'm not a child, man. I was like, you need to put some shorts on, or at least put some shades down if you're gonna be like this, man.
I was gonna say some shit. I mean, the man's in his house. If he can't be naked in his own pool in his own house,
For real. Well, I mean, okay, I guess I shouldn't say that because I had to go into his yard for part of my job, which
hmm
I guess from the road you wouldn't see him like that, but it's the fact that I had to
right?
go, yeah. So I had access that other people wouldn't, but man, he still need to put some damn shorts on. But
Oh fuck yeah, that'd be
I'd probably be the same way. My wife will probably be coming over and be like, man, put some clothes on. I was like, man, I pay for this pool. I would do anything I want in this pool, right, man?
you run that by the wife and see how that goes over. You run. Don't change anything. Say exactly what you just said to me to the wife and see how that goes over.
You know what? I will. Make sure you write it
Sure.
down so I can ask you before I do it. So what was that line that I said?
Oh no, I'll make a note of it. I'm gonna be there on Saturday. I'll make a note of it.
But you gotta
First
wait
thing
until I
on.
get the inside pool. I ain't doing it on an outside pool. Just
Oh,
saying.
oh.
Yeah, I got neighbors. I got neighbors, and I'm not enclosed.
That's nasty.
And there are children around me, so I can't be doing that. Can't be exposing the business outside.
You can't be exposing the business
That's a crime, bro. But if I'm
on your own
enclosed,
property.
what's up?
You're on your own property.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah.
But all right, but today's episode, everybody, we are still on the Pokemon Twilight Wings binge, and today's episode is Pokemon Twilight Wings episode 7, titled Sky. And this episode um revolves around the character Leon, the day of Leon's championship match. So it's a big episode. There's a lot that happens in this episode in such a short period of time. And this episode really made me think, like, I know we're gonna get into it in the episode, but when that ending scene, like, I really wish I was able to watch that entire battle that we're about to get into, bro.
Yeah, and that's something that's happened a couple times. I think just had it recently with one of the Pokemon League battles. We were just thrown into the middle of not just a random, it was one of Ashes.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, by the way, everybody's a Pokemon down. Everybody's on their final Pokemon. Welcome to the episode. It's like, well no. I mean,
Hold on. Whoa, no. I want to see
yeah,
this. I want to see this battle. We've waited this long, and you're going to tell us we can't watch this thing? Someone has the
but
uncut version and is able to watch that entire thing. Someone
not
has.
even the waiting. It's the fact that we had to go through the filler episodes where he refused to train. Yet we have to have battles cut in half. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
He can go on a surfing vacation for goodness sakes.
And that's perfectly fine, right?
Right.
We can watch them surf all day, but we can't watch the damn Pokemon battle.
Can't see too many full battles now. What do you think this is? A cartoon kids fighting show? What are you doing?
So, all right. But yeah, Doug, it's time to kind of jump into this episode. I don't really have much else to really talk about until we actually get into it. Are you ready to embark on this journey, bro?
Definitely.
All right. So we start this episode with a documentary series. So they're basically doing like an E60. And for people that don't know, they're when there's going to be like a big boxing match or a big UFC show or something of that caliber when two people are getting ready to face each other. Um, ESPN likes to do these like mini documentary series where it's highlighting the people that are getting ready to fight. But in this
Mm-hmm.
case, they're highlighting things for Leon. So they got a lot of the gym leaders talking about Leon. You got a person in the background that's kind of narrating, and everyone has everyone is talking about their experience with Leon, and we go straight from that. So some people don't even want to be interviewed, and then we go straight to a shot of Leon doing his signature pose on the TV, and then we find out that Tommy and John are watching. Well, more Tommy. Tommy's watching the fight that's getting ready to happen, the documentary series on TV, and John's just laying in bed. And or do I have them backwards, bro?
No, you're good,
Oh,
John.
okay.
Yeah, John's the one in bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay, my bad. And John is has no care in the world, and John is just sitting there reading, which is unlike him because he's a big Leon fan. Doug?
Well, I mean, he kind of was he was aware that the documentary was on, but he definitely perked up and put his book down and focused when he heard Leon's voice, because he's being interviewed by Chairman Rose, and
Yes.
um um
And well, Chairman Rose is he's trying to sell tickets. He's like, a match like this only comes along once in a whole century. And that kind of perked up John's ears. He's looking at he's like, he's not smiling. It doesn't look like he's having fun. And then we cut straight from that to John putting up his posters again, because it looked like for a time there he had taken down all of his posters. All the books started vanishing from the hospital room, and he started reading up on Leon again, like he got his hopes back when it came to
mhm,
Leon. Doug?
yeah, and we see um what appears to be present day, and the the books are strewn all over the room, and a nurse runs in with a letter, and we see that it's got the Chairman Rose seal on it, and he's like, "Oh, he wrote back," and but then immediately we're thrown into a dream sequence, and John is staring down a hallway, and we see what looks to be Leon from behind, and John goes to approach him, and he reaches out to touch, and then he snaps
Oh wait.
back to reality, and we see that he's kind of like he looked like he passed out, like on his bed, like he's laying.
He's like half
um
on his bed and half not.
yeah, and he's reaching up um the ceiling because he was reaching to touch Leon in his dream, and oh fuck, and
and and he's just reaching up to thin air. And John wakes up, and he's like rubbing his eyes, and all of a sudden someone walks in and was like, John, what are you still doing here? And
he's like, I fell asleep, and he's like, I got to get ready quick, and then we find out that the letter was part of reality because the letter is still on his nightstand. So he was so excited that he got the letter,
that he didn't
he
even
passed
open it.
out,
Hmm.
and
He runs out of the hospital with the nurse right behind him over to the guy that's been in every single episode so far, the taxi driver.
he's the MVP. He's the real MVP. Motherfucker, like you said, he's been in every episode. Nobody gets anywhere without this guy, apparently.
No, apparently not. And John gets into the taxi, and the nurse looks back and was like, "Have fun, but don't have too much fun. Don't tire yourself out." And he's like, "Mm-hmm." He's like, "Hey, sir, will I make it in time to the match?" And he's like, "Leave it to us. This one here is the fastest of all Galar," talking about the Corviknight. And he gets right, and John gets into the taxi, and off they go. Doug.
And you just get this beautiful shot of the Corviknight and flying in the sky, and the driver says, "Oh, these headwinds are awful." And John's a braver kid than I am because he looks over the side, and I'd be glued to the seat and I wouldn't look out for nothing. And he's like, "Oh," and watching all these Pokemon go by, and he's just completely in awe. And he looks down and he's squinting and he's like, "Does that?" And he's like, "Hey, can we land?" And it's like, "Bro, don't you have somewhere to be?" And
Yeah, he he
go
he caught a glimpse of somebody that was climbing, that looked like they were climbing one of the cliffs. And
and
okay, I'm sorry.
no, no, we go. We're it looks like we're at like a I don't know, like a luncheon kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
it's what the impression I got from this is it looks like a luncheon, but everyone around looks like they're looking for Leon, and you have the staff going, "Wait a minute, did you see him when we all left?" And he's like, "Even John wouldn't oversleep and miss this, would he?" And um, the chairman's assistant ends up walking in and was like, "Chairman, Leon isn't here yet." And he's like, "Eh." Yeah, he just smiles at her. He's like, "Eh." He's like, "I'm still making my money regardless of anything. He'll be here when he gets here. He's not gonna not make the match." Duh.
and we go back to the cliff and we see that the cabbie did land, and we find out what we suspected probably when we saw a glimpse of him. That is Leon who was out there, and he's like, and, freaking cabbie's like, "What are you doing out here?" And he's like, "Oh, I got a little lost on the road." He's laughing, he's having a good time. And the cabbie's like, "What do you mean you got lost?" Um,
That's his thing, and I don't know if I touched on that in any previous episode, Doug. But his character in the game is he's this really badass trader, but he has no sense of direction at all.
I see.
So he just wanders the world, just um just living life, and then it's like something will snap, and he'll like look at his surroundings, and he'll be like, "I have no idea where I'm at."
And that's kind of what it looks like happens here because he's laughing and then he kind of snaps and he goes over to the Corviknight and he's like, "This one looks fast."
And he looks at the Corviknight. He's like, "I have a match with a strong rival today, so I don't want to tire out Charizard and have him fly me back." He's like, "Do you mind giving me a lift?" And the taxi driver, he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I was already taking this kid to the stadium." He's like, "But I'm not sure we can make it in time with all these wins. These wins are terrible." And Leon's like, "You know what? Don't even mind that." He's like, "If you leave the cab here, we can fly just on the Corbinite." And he's like, "I'll bring them back afterwards." And so Leon's bright idea is, "All right, taxi driver, you just stay on the top of this cliff, and we're gonna take your bird, and your bird will return back to you after he gets us over to the match that I'm supposed to be at, that I should be at, but I got lost."
And friggin' John's like, I was barely hanging into the cab. I'm not really sure if I mean, you're talking open air, but and Leon sees that John's a little trepidatious and he just chuckles. And the very next thing, three of them are flying in this Corviknight, or not in, but on this Corviknight.
I wouldn't want to be in it, Doug.
Shut up. Just shut up. Just, you know what?
What you do on your personal time, Doug. Oh, that's the one time I can get that line in on you. Got him.
The one time you're on the ball. I misspoke anyway because it's just Leon and John. They've left the cabbie on the cliff with his cab.
Yes.
I think you said, but and John, for his sake, he's wearing
protective goggles.
He's wearing Leon's goggles, yeah. And
Corviknight is just flying through the air. Leon's actually concerned. He's like, "Are you cold at all?" And John's like, "I'm fine." And then Corviknight picks up speed, and he's like, "You're not scared?" And John's like, "Not at all." And then they go into this big thing and he where John's like, "It's been one of my dreams to see you in one of your matches." And he's calling him Mr. Leon, and Leon just gets down by his ear. He's like, "Just call me Leon."
And Corviknight is just zooming through these rock formations, and we got like a POV shot of Corviknight flying through the clouds, and it's just like and he just starts busting out laughing, and like I said, I think you were a little ahead of the game because this is where "Are you scared? Not at all." And John's like laughing like a madman, and Leon's like, "All right, I got some good shit here." And
he's like, "Man, this is awesome."
They go zooming off, and then we flash forward in time, and we're at the stadium, and
you have the staff
somebody
just freaking out.
Somebody's like, "Is Leon here? We should go back to the locker room and check." And he goes running, and the crowd's like, rabble, and Rose hands his drink to what's her name?
Liana.
Oh, Liana. And he's like, "Oh, I'll handle this." And we get two flashlights. God damn it. Not flashlights. Spotlights.
Spotlight. Yeah.
And we see the Corviknight approaching, and people start picking up, "It's the champion." And oh my god. And
wouldn't that be such a cool way to like make an appearance? Like if Pokemon was real, like to just fly in on a Pokemon like that after people have been waiting for about an hour for this battle.
I'm gonna be on time.
I would try to as well, but things happen. I'm just saying that was some type of entrance. Like, okay, and this might be the only time I actually get to say this. So I was looking at this meme earlier, and this person put this I guess this big ass bird, like looking like it was like the size of like a mini, like a little smaller than a Charizard, but it was huge. Like the wings were just massive, and the caption was, "What would you do if this landed in front of your yard?" And the top comment that was getting all the likes was, "I would throw a Pokeball at it."
Yeah.
So I know that doesn't really do too much for what's going on in the scene, but it just reminded me with like this big ass Corviknight just coming down into the stadium. But all right, Mr. Rose is making his announcement, Doug.
So he steps to the center of the arena, and he's like, "Welcome, one and all. It's showtime." And
All
fireworks
Bruce
go
Pritchard
off,
like.
fireworks go off, and the crowd like, ah! And Carbonite lands, and you hear murmurs in the crowd, who's that kid down there? And John's just, and we got like a POV shot. He's just looking around, and his bug-eyed, oh my God, I'm not even dressed. What the fuck?
But he's about
And
to live out his dream.
and Leon, who is facing the crowd, he's still talking to John, and he goes, "Is your dream fulfilled by just watching?" And he's like, "You want to become a Pokemon trainer, right?" And John's just and
he's like, I never thought I would be here. Oh my gosh, this can't be happening right now.
and like in his dream, he approaches Leon, and he goes to put a hand on his shoulder, and Leon whirls around and just grabs him by the wrist, and he gets down to his level,
And he's like, the
and
next time we meet, let's have a Pokemon battle.
I would have just collapsed. And
He almost did. I mean, he collapsed at the he collapsed in the first episode when he was meeting Mr. Rose, and he's like, and Leon just looks at the kid. He's like, but I won't hold back against any opponent. So you better bring your A game. And this kid, he's like, oh man. And then Rihan, one of the top Pokemon gym leaders of the game, looks up and he's like, you're late, Leon. He's like, I thought you ran off with your tail between your legs. And this is just like him in the game. He is so cocky until you beat him, but he's still cocky even after you beat him.
and Leon approaches his mark, and he strikes his little pose, and his little cape is flourishing, and the crowd, ha! And
Boom!
John's just John's just dumbstruck, and he's kind of holding his chest. He's like, "Am I having a big one? I don't really know. I'm trying though. It's emotional."
Dude, the way that those lights like were such in sync with Leon's pose, like the lights were just in the like just lighting up the whole place, and then he does the pose, and then the lights turn like a bluish purpley color, and they're like boom. And I was like, man, I was like, they were really doing this like a Mayweather or a Canelo fight. Like, man,
And
it's a whole spectacle.
Tommy's like, "That's my dude," and some of the other trainers around the stadium are looking on intently, and
He starts to
um,
cry, bro.
what's his face with his Wooloo fuck, Chief
His brother?
Woolaroo, or well, not
Wooloo?
yeah.
His brother Hop.
How is how fuck me? How is his brother not in the stadium?
I'm guessing he's been to a lot of these and he can be at home. But I mean, yeah, that is a good question. Like, how is your brother not in your biggest rivals match? Like to watch it live. Unless Mr. Rose is that big of a cheapskate that he wants everybody to pay when they come in. Not and even Leon's brother.
Well, that was the owner of the Blackhawks philosophy for the longest time. He wouldn't broadcast home games on TV because he said, if I broadcast games on TV, nobody's going to come to the arena.
Oh, well,
Yeah, it was shitty.
that's a stupid idea.
It was. It really was. Um. So Leon kind of smacks himself in the face a couple times. He's focused, and he whips off his cape, and um this Pokemon called
Rihan,
Gudra.
what's up?
Gudra.
Yes, Gudra, and and that's Rion's first starting Pokemon is good old Gudra, and of course Leon has his Flygon to start off this match.
And Flygon gets kind of knocked loopy by a wave,
I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
no,
No,
that's not Flygon.
no. I was one step ahead. So my bad, my bad. Okay. So let's see. Gudra for a a geese Agislash. There you go.
I see.
And he gets hit by the surf and then a giga impact and then um who responds with a thunder and then after that Rion calls out his Flygon to take on Agislash with a Stone Edge attack. There you go.
And we're watching the battle, and it's beautiful. And then Leon throws out a. I'm guessing that's a Gigantamax ball.
Yes, it's a Gigantamax Charizard is who he's sending out.
And Charizard comes out. He's like, and it's shaking the ground. And Leon loses his balance, and Charizard just badass. Like, and the arena's all tore up,
And Rihan sends out his Gigantamax Duraludon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But
I'm trust you completely.
and it's just a big, massive battle between these two Gigantamax Pokemon. I mean, and we never get the conclusion to the match, but I mean, you have to suspect that. Actually, I mean, we find out in Pokemon Journeys what ends up happening here because Leon and Rihan have a moment later on in the series. So I'm guessing Leon stumped Rihan at the end of this battle. But they're just crushing each other, and Charizard goes in for a freaking flamethrower, and that's the end of the episode. Just done.
Yeah, we get a flash of white, and then we get credits.
Y-
And so yeah, pretty decent build up to not a lot of payoff.
Yeah, there is an extra scene. So when you guys are watching this, so if you fast forward to the 9 minute mark on
Fuck,
the
that's right.
on the episode, you see the taxi driver. He's met back up with his Corviknight, and he's back in town, and he's just reading a newspaper on the steps. And then you see two bodies walk up behind him and go, "Can we get a lift?" And he's like, "Of course. Where can I take you?" And what's so cool is the two bodies that you see in the background. Those are the characters that you are in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So those are the actual characters from the game. You just don't see their face.
That's pretty cool.
So and that's how we end up ending that episode, and it basically is going to go straight into the next episode. I mean, the next episode it kind of takes place in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So but we'll get into that. Something that I did not state for episode 7 is that the is both episodes ended up premiering in both Japan and the United States on August 6th of 2020, everybody.
Okay.
So we were back to the episodes during the pandemic dropping on the exact same day. And then we are now on episode 8, The Gathering of Stars. So, and I want to make note that I just said that that episode 7 aired on August 6th of 2020. You had to wait all the way until November to get the final conclusion to Pokemon Twilight Wings. Yeah, I know. It premiered in Japan. It's called The Gathering of the Stars. It premiered in Japan November 5th. And here in the States, it premiered November 17th, 12 days later. Yeah, I know. But Yeah, that was episode 7, bro. How did you like it? Is there anything that you would end up changing from that episode, or do you think that that episode was as good as it could be?
So this is so episode 7 was basically the end.
Yeah,
Um, episode 8 kind of picks up at a later date down the line. It was really good. I mean, like I said, the end of our last episode, we were coming off of a streak of like 4 like hitter episodes, and I feel like episode 7 um built really nice. You had the tension of the big match, you had all the trainers giving their input, and then you had the payoff of John finally getting his letter from Rose, and um going through his little bit of peril of, oh my gosh, is he going to be able to make the fight, and um
yeah.
what have you. And
Basically, everything just coming down to a head. You put all the episodes together. You have all the characters from the previous episodes. They're all either watching live in person or they're watching on their smartphones, and it was something. It was.
it's good. And John had basically the Brock and Misty position at the battle, and he was he was moved to tears, and he was like, maybe I can do this. It was good, really good.
Yes, really good. So, all right. So, you ready to start the gathering of stars, Doug?
So let's knock out this little bite-sized episode.
It is. And it is a little bite sized episode, everybody. So don't be expecting this one to go too long. It's only 6 minutes long. But you start this episode with the taxi driver. Literally every single episode, Doug. Every episode.
Has to. It's the law.
It is the law. And the taxi driver, he's flying through the air. He's like, man, that wind feels so nice. And in the back, you see a more grown up Leon. So it looks like it's been some years. It looks like Leon's kind of taking things a little bit more serious. And the taxi driver is still calling him champion. So he is still the best he's the best Pokemon trainer out there still to this day.
He corrects him because he's like, you mean former champion? So we don't know if he's been knocked out and he's just coasting on his rep. Well, I don't think Leon's the type of guy that would coast on his reputation. But
Yeah. So the image that I'm getting from this is he finally got beat and he's on his way to go and retire now, is what I'm getting. So we see an island. We see we see the building for the Cub Fu, where you get your Cub Fu in the Pokemon Sword and Shield game. We see the new forest that's going on. You see a bunch of new Pokemon that are in this area, and this is basically introducing you. So this came out around November. So I did a little bit of my own research just for a brief second, and this came out around the time of your DLC content for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
ah,
Yes. So when you bought some Sword and Shield, I'll give a little bit of a background here. You got the base game, and then since you bought the base game, you had the option of buying a DLC content where it would extend the game even further after you've beaten the regular storyline. So, and that's exactly what's going on here. We are on an island, and Leon has has gotten out of the taxi. He's standing in front of one of the Cub Food buildings, and he sees the leader of the Cub Food, and he's like, "It's been a while, Leon, my boy." So this is the guy that we find out in Pokemon Journeys that trained Leon. And he's like, Master, it's been a while indeed. So at the beginning, you get the impression, okay, Leon is retiring. He said that
Mm-hmm.
he's a former champion, so he's been defeated. You think that he's going on to this island to retire, but he's coming back to his master to get stronger. Doug, you want to take this next part?
So we're on the outside of the dojo, and we hear somebody say, "Here you are," and um, we hear, "Oh, thank you very much," and all of a sudden you get a bang, and the cabbie's he's drinking a cup of tea, and he and got a Squirtle and a Bulbasaur. They're freaking out, and the cabbie's like, "What in the world?" And um, the trainer that was controlling somebody with their mind gets snapped out and drops a guy, and we just bang and explosions, and
that was Avery, by the way, who was controlling someone with their mind. He's also another character inside of the Sword and Shield video game.
oh, everybody's like, "What in the world's going on?" And then we are we kind of go through some smoke, and we see a Charizard and a
So that's a let's see, it's a Minichow. There you go.
aha. And
Yes.
so we can kind of infer that that's Leon and the Master, and they're going at it, and you can see that they've been going at it for a while. Because both Pokemon are breathing heavy. The field's on fire. Um, they're just going back and forth. And they're getting ready to load up more attacks. You can see Charizard's got something ready to go and all of a sudden you hear that's enough, and Pokemon literally stop on a dime and go back to their resting position. And Leon's
and
like, "That was impressive, Master."
and the master even makes note. He calls back his Pokemon and he looks at Leon. He's like, "Still on your journey, are you, Leon?" And he's like, "Competing against a truly strong rival will help you reach new heights. I look forward to the time." And he's like, "I can battle all out." And Leon just kind of, he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "It looks like you already know, Master." And he pulls out an envelope and he's like, he, Mustard is the master's name. And he's like, "What are you doing next, Leon, my boy?" And he's like, "Well, I'm off to visit some strong trainers." And he's getting ready to form this big Pokemon like battle. So this is kind of going in correlation to what's kind of happening now in Pokemon Journeys. So in Pokemon Journeys right now, Ash is on this big journey. All the trainers that entered this big contest that Leon's putting on have been ranked, and the more trainers that you defeat, the higher your ranking is. And at the end of the day, once you get down to the end, it will be Leon versus whoever the number 2 trainer is to fight in one big battle, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. Still to
Ah,
this day, we're almost there. Ash is in double digits now, but he's not quite there yet.
so we see the aerial taxi taking off, and then we get shots of all the trainers again, much like the documentary.
Yes.
And it's just, I mean, this is great content for a podcast. Um,
I do want to make note that um Alistair, good old Alistair that had his mask on, is shown without his mask in a brief 1 second snippet when they're going through all of the trainers and the gym leaders. He does
Huh.
he does have his mask off. So
You know,
it shows that he's mature.
yes, we all mature and grow at our own pace. Good for him.
Yes.
Um,
And I don't know if you noticed, Doug, but in every single one of these clips, everyone's been handed that letter that Leon had in his hand, inviting them to go to this big training, this big competition that he's putting together.
yep, I took note of that, and we get to the last one. It's look like we're with the old lady that we spoke to at the beginning of episode 7,
Yes.
and somebody's on stage. He goes, "Would you like me to go as well?" And he's like, "I'll understand. I understand. I'll show everyone the power of pink." And he's, "I'm full of myself. I've got a unicorn and a Pokemon that I know, but I don't know the name of. It's a Rosetta, I think."
Roserade.
And yeah, that's it. And um,
And that was a Rapidash.
oh,
Yes, that's the Galarian Rapidash.
well, that's nice.
Yeah, isn't she a beauty?
That's pretty slick.
Remember, we saw the Galarian Ponyta, and that is the evolved form.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
So the old lady's like, "Haha, how many years has it been?" And
And then we go to even more of the gym leaders. You have the Rocker, um, and then you have her brother, who seems like he is down on his luck. So I'm guessing he faced Leon and lost, and he doesn't want to fight again because he's caught saying, "Haven't I told you I don't do encores?"
mhm.
And then
And
and then we go to the professor's office, Doug.
yes, we're in the library, and she she finds a book she's looking for, and somebody walks in and goes, "Sonia, I have a question about this report."
That's Hop,
And
that Leon's brother.
see, I don't like time jumps because this is bullshit. Um, and she's like, "Oh, are you heading out already?" And um, he's like, "Yep, I got an appointment for my interview." Hop's like, "Well, that's great." And
Hop is finally ready to become a Pokemon. He's finally old enough to become a Pokemon trainer. So that's how far we are. Because remember when we last saw him in the last episode, he was still really really young, and all he had was his Wooloo, and he was watching his brother from the TV.
and we get one final guy looking at his letter, and he's like, "Well, I guess we can't have this party without me."
That's Rihan.
And that's Rihan, and I know that because he's got the same floating shit he had during episode 7,
Yes.
and he's like, certain someone's gonna be there. It's like, so a certain someone's gonna be there as well, right? And um, Rihan kind of stops in his tracks, and
He
like,
just smiled. Yeah.
gotcha on that one. And then the cabbie, and then we're back in the Corbinite cab, and the driver's like, where
Where
are
are we
we off
going now?
to next? Jesus Christ.
And then we have Peonia opening her eyes. So we cut to a different scene now. And let's see. All right. So they're like, wake up. And it's like, come on, Dad, stop following him, stop following me around. And you see someone's just looking around, and it looks like they're in the sky. So it looks like you're on a plane. And it's like, come on, Nina, please. Whoa, listen to your papa, okay, Nina? And you see someone just running off. So what I want to give reference to right here. So in the second part of the DLC content, you meet this really obnoxious dad, and he has a daughter who the daughter keeps trying to run away from him because he's so obnoxious. And she just wants to go out and be her own person, be her own Pokemon trainer. But the dad is just so obnoxious that he just embarrasses her. So you see a glimpse of them walking by in the clip. And that's who's stumbling in the background. And he's like, "Come on." He's like, listen to your papa," because he's trying to be the dad. Yeah, so that's what you're getting there.
Sure.
And then you still see someone else um, looking around, and you see someone training outside, and then you go to the outside and you have a Galarian Moltres, and then you have a Galarian Zapdos, and a Galarian Articuno, all living in their habitats. And then you see the new Galarian area called Tundra, which is the last spot in your Sword and Shield adventure before you've actually completed the entire video game.
Aha.
Yes, Doug, I'm gonna have you. I'm sorry to have taken over that spot. I just had a little bit more of a background when it comes to the video game, with them making references to it. But if you want to go to the part where we're in front of the gym and all the people are kind of eating their food, and you see a bunch of Pokemon, you can start right there, bro.
Yeah. So it looks like we're at like this big like kind of like town square area, and everybody's it's big and lively, and there's street performers, and like you said, there's food everywhere, and there's a Pokemon kicking shit, and
That's a Cinderace.
he, I think we saw that in a black and white, didn't we?
Yes, yes, we did. Yes, we did.
I remember that kicking stuff, and he's
Oh
got like
no, it was in the not in black and white. It was in
oh, it was Arceus, wasn't it?
yeah, the Arceus. There you go.
Yeah, and he's got like fireworks and and um we're um we're we're then sent into a stadium, and we got a spotlight, and we hear Leon's voice. He says, "All right, everyone, sorry to keep you waiting." Um, he says, "Today we have brave challengers representing all of Galar have gathered here. Come on, catch up." He said, "See, I've spent my whole life battling myself, try to become the greatest trainer. Through all my battles,
It really
really proved to
proved
me
me
how
how
much
much
further
further
I
you
can
can go.
go, or you can go." And we see reactions all over the stadium, and then we're back in looks like the same children's hospital,
But
and
with new children there.
said, um,
So and from there you see new you see Oleana looking like she's taken over new projects as she was doing in previous episodes. And Leon continues. He's like, "I'm thinking I want to bring even more thrilling battles to our wonderful Galar region. And from here, you have all the gym leaders and everyone representing each other, and you have trainers, and you see Hop is in the background as well. So Hop is trying to get in on this tournament, and he's like, "I'm declaring the Galarian Star Tournament open," and you have all these trainers right behind him, and he does his signature pose, and everyone's doing their thing, and then you get what looks like the trainer, the the boy trainer from the previous episode in that extra clip walking into the stands, and he looks over at Leon, and Leon's like, "Come on, let let us have some amazing battles." And then the crowd cheers. So you're under the assumption that whoever those kids were at the end of the last episode, bro, the boy ended up becoming the Pokemon champion, and he beat Leon.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
And something that Leon said during his speech, he said he's taken over leadership duties from Chairman Rose.
Yes. So
And
Chairman Rose is gone. He's a dirty dude anyway. In the video in the video game, he had some really evil motives towards the end of that game.
I see. I gotcha.
So Leon took over the responsibilities to make sure everything would go and run smoothly.
So, so yeah, this looks to be kind of Leon's first big thing. He's like, we're gonna have this great tournament in the name of competition, and yeah, and then we get credits, and that's it. We don't have a post credits scene, although you could almost count this whole episode as a post credits scene to episode 7.
They probably should have at this point did that, but they didn't. But yeah, that was it. So I'm gonna ask you two questions, bro. So I'm gonna ask you what your rating is for these two episodes, and then I want an honest opinion of an overall rating on the Twilight Wings series, and I will go after each one of your ratings. So what would you give these episodes 7 and 8 as a combined rating?
I mean, you're probably at like a 3.5. Episode 7 was really strong, but like I say, episode 8 was essentially just a continuation. But like you could have just done like a 'cause- so episode 7 was like what 9.5. You
Yeah.
you basically could have just done a normal length episode of episode 7, and it probably stands on its own. I mean, you really didn't need episode 8 to be its own thing. Um,
No, and I see why they did it. They
even number.
yeah, they did they did it. It's an even number. They were also introducing to you a brand new region, which is and they were trying to sell the DLC content for the new game, so you can figure out what's going on in the extra part of the region, and that's really what they were doing.
But in terms of the whole thing, yeah, I really liked it. I mean, I say it really hit its stride. Um, episodes,
I would say
you know,
episodes three
three,
through
four,
seven.
yeah, 3 through 7. So I mean, I'm gonna comfortably say 4.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I could maybe be convinced to a 4.5, but that's yeah, I would say in that range.
All right. Cool. Cool. Well, I'm gonna give these two episodes a solid 3, and then I'm going to give. I really like these. I'll give it about a 4, maybe 4.5. I'll lock myself in at about a 4.5 for these. So yeah, that's it. These episodes were great, and I'm glad that me and you took the journey that we took to get ourselves here.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have covered um these, and these little, I don't know if they're hidden gems because they're on Pokemon.com and they're on YouTube, but little bite-sized episodes that are able to get their story across in a shortened length, and they all tie together, and you, you have like the whole experience once you've sat through and watched everything. Like they're not completely one-offs.
Yeah, for real.
You see, and at the end of things, you see that there was a point there. It's just they weren't hitting you over the head with it at the beginning.
So, all right. Well, it wouldn't be the end of an episode if I am not opening up a Pokemon pack, Doug.
It would be if you forgot them.
I know. That's only happened once. I'm never doing that again. But all right, everybody, it is time. I have a Pokemon Fusion Strike pack in front of me. If I can even get the pack open. There we go. Ooh, black card, everybody. Black card. So let's go ahead and hope for the best. Basic energy, Doug. What energy am I about to look at?
Water.
Fire.
I'm a bitch.
I know. I have a trainer Crossiever card. I have a Sliggoo, a Clawitzer, a Morpeko, a really cute Eevee card, a Shelter, Voltorb, a Pansage. My reverse holo is a Lopunny, and I have a holo Swampert. Nice. I will take it, everybody. Good, good, good. And this week's card code is going to be DDQ4XK9 2WV WB7. There you go, everybody, and you can go ahead and put that into your Pokemon trading card game live card game. But you want to know a funny statistic, Doug?
I would love it.
So, and don't act like that it's not okay, because it is, because you guys do still listen to the episodes, but a lot of people that listen to our episodes ever since I've started doing these codes, they go straight to the end of the episode. It's a funny statistic is a lot of people actually click the end of the episode and then go back and listen, but they start at the end of the episode to get that damn trainer card code. And I know that's why it's there, because ever since I started it, I've started seeing that on where I upload the podcast. So a lot of people are loving that I'm putting that down on at the end of the podcast. So
I respect the hustle, just as long as you go back and go through the episode once you figure out if you've won or if you were too late on the draw. I would say every now and again we should switch it up. At the beginning.
Put it at the beginning of the episode or right in the middle of the episode. This week's code is
Oh yeah, we put the code with the Who's That Pokemon?
People are gonna be like, oh damn, there's nothing here. But no, it's in the middle of the episode, but you gotta listen to the episode to get the code.
Figured out our system.
I know. But do you have anything else to add this week, Doug?
No, I was really happy with the conclusion of this thing. Like I said, episode 8 might have been a little unnecessary.
Just a little bit.
It's like 3 through 7 were fantastic. 1 and 2 kind of established, everything, and this was a really fun series to review.
Yes. Which leaves us to even more. I mean, we got more that we're going to be doing going forward. We're not going to announce the next one yet, but we got some things cooking that we're getting ready to do, Doug. So
correct.
But all right, everybody. Well, if that's said, go ahead and say goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G, everybody, telling all of you thank you for listening to our Pokemon Twilight Wings saga. And we will be back to a somewhat regular schedule as long as we don't throw any more curveballs at you. But yeah, everybody, thank you and have a good night. See you later.